I think what she did is so gross. And she's just gross. So she has written a book. Let me see if I can find it. I have so many papers today. Kelly McGuire, tell me what page this is on if you can in my packet. She's written a book. And in her book, she decided that it might be a good idea to describe and rehabilitate President Biden's incident at Andrews Air Force Base when the remains of our fallen soldiers in Afghanistan were returned after his debacle of a withdrawal from that war. And the name of her book is Say More, Lessons from Work, the White House, and the World. And I guess her lessons are when something bad happens, you just lie about it. And that makes perfect sense, given that she was his press secretary and now she works for MSNBC. Here is what she wrote. This is per Axios, which has a copy. The president, now this is when, at Andrews, when he, infamously looked at that watch as the remains were in front of him. Per Axios, Psaki writes, the president looked at his watch only after the ceremony had ended. Moments later, he and the first lady headed toward their car. She also writes that Biden's critics were engaged in, quote, misinformation and used the image to make him appear insensitive, concerned only about how much time had passed. Okay, none of that is true. He checked his watch during the ceremony repeatedly, not just once look at this. This is while the bodies are still in front of him. He tries to slide it in there. He looks at his watch. Even his most ardent defenders at the time who tried to fact check the claims that he checked his watch had to wind up admitting, all right, he did. In fact, he didn't just do it that once. He did it repeatedly. He wanted to get the thing over with. He was sick. There he is again. He was sick and tired of having to stand there and honor the fallen soldiers at Dover. We've talked about it repeatedly on this show. I'm sure you guys have talked about it as well. And she has the nerve to try to launder that moment in advance of an election by saying it wasn't until the whole thing was over. It is a lie, and it is a material lie, she told in that book. Now, her account is not only at odds with what we saw with our eyes, but with fact checks done at the time, news agencies' photos from the ceremony at Dover, and statements from Gold Star families. Hold on a second. This is from Axios here. Mark Schmitz, the father of Marine Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz told Congress in April of 2023 that, quote, while I stood there on the tarmac, no, actually we have the sock cut. Let's watch it.
Well, I stood there on the tarmac watching you check your watch over and over again. All I wanted to do was shout out, it's 2:30, asshole. But out of respect to the other grieving families, I bit my tongue once again.
God bless him. I'm so sorry for his loss, and you can feel his anger. And Jen Psaki calls him a liar by putting this lie of her own in her book. She's looking those Gold Star families in the face and saying, you lied. You put out misinformation to hurt our dear president. I'm the only one who will tell you the truth. She put it in her book, which she then read in audio form. And this is the same person who a week ago was out there lambasting Kristi Noem for lying in her book. At least she just lied about a dumbass meeting with a world leader. It's a lie that's dumb to tell, but of no consequence. This is a middle finger to the Gold Star families, and there's been no apology. What she's done so far is first, not respond when she was asked for comment by Axios. And then after they published their story, she said, the detail in a few lines of the book about the exact number of times he looked at his watch will be removed in future reprints about the ebook. Then she makes it about Beau Biden, because he's the go-to of the entire White House team whenever controversy hits. She tries to say the story on Afghanistan is really about the importance of delivering feedback, even when it's difficult. Told through my own experience of telling President Biden that his own story of loss was not well received by the families who were grieving their sons and daughters. You see, I got it. I understand he shouldn't have brought up Beau Biden, as then she does right here. to excuse her own lie and her offense caused to the poor Gold Star families. It's absolutely egregious. And by the way, no apology, zero apology to the Gold Star families, 6 of whom spoke to the New York Post and have demanded a retraction and an apology from her. Nothing. Look at this. How dare she insult them in an effort to score political points for her heartless boss. What do you guys make of it?
Well, it's disgusting. I haven't read her trash book, obviously, as I imagine many people in your audience haven't either. But I wonder, while she was busily excusing him for checking his watch and disrespecting families to their face, whether she got into the fact that none of those families would have been there in the first place if it wasn't for Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. And the egregious missteps and just all-out callousness as it dealt with our armed forces who'd been, at that point, 20 years into a mission of trying to withdraw at the height of the fighting season so he could make a deadline of a 20th anniversary of 9/11, which is what this is all about. I mean, none of those families would be there in the first place if he didn't want to do a big ceremony on 9/11 announcing that he had ended the war in Afghanistan. Like, never mind the fact that the facts on the ground didn't support what he was trying to do, or he put their lives in danger. He got him killed. Like, just be honest with it. Yeah. They would not have died if not for that decision making. So his watch, whatever, yes, she's a liar, but I made the mistake years ago of assuming that everyone who speaks for the Biden administration had no training at all. I think they had tons of training, because I don't know how you can straight-face lie so often without having some sort of at least remedial course in sociology.
Well, it's a great point. But one way you can straight-face lie so frequently is if you have a receptive audience, and Democrats certainly have that in the mainstream press. We always say that the easiest job in town is Democrat press secretary, because they can say whatever they want, and it will lead the story as if they're the hero, and the Republicans are always quoted at the very bottom. And I think that conditions people like Jen Psaki into like this false sense of reality that, you just lie, you'll get away with it, just lie, nobody's going to notice. Well, he was on camera, and everybody, including that very, very sad story of that guy who, Megyn, like, that video was heartbreaking. Yeah. I feel so bad for that guy. And people like Jen Psaki just think they can lie to them and then move on to the next thing, the next cocktail party.
And then say it's misinformation. The nerve of this woman to say it's misinformation, to claim otherwise. She knows very well that the Gold Star families are on record as saying it happened. Keep going, Ashbrook.
No, you said it very well. It is infuriating. And it is very infrequent that they get caught in the lies that they tell on a daily basis. But I think that's why it's so important that people like you, Megyn, and people that are listening to this show are actively, vigilantly watching this president and this White House, because you know that the media is not. And so it's dependent on your audience, Megyn. It's dependent on people like you. It's depending on people like us at the Variety Program to hold them accountable.
You can only
Duncan
really
and
understand
Smug, let me. Yeah, go ahead, Duncan. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the only way you can really understand how somebody can be so successful at being such a bald-faced liar is understanding this revolving door between liberal dark money groups, government, and then media. Jen Psaki came up in her career in a liberal dark money group and then waltzed her way right into the White House to be a spokesperson for the President of the United States. And then when she got tired of that job, she's on national television every single night. Like, when you live a life like that, that's how you become a liar with no remorse.
That's right.
Yeah. But look at this. We pulled this a couple weeks ago when Ronna McDaniel got booted from the RNC. No, when she got booted from NBC, right, after like a day of service. Jen Psaki goes on her failing show at MSNBC, and maybe the audience remembers this. I compared her at the time to Dora the Explorer. She was like, I'm here for truth. La, la, la. Listen to what she said, how she described that path you just described. Duncan, listen.
Some, mainly in the right-wing ecosystem, have made the comparison to others who have come from government or politics into the media, including me. And that is a comparison I felt like I had to address. I got into public service for the same reason that many people do, to serve the American people. And there are many others who have followed a similar path, who I have a great deal of respect for. But here's the thing. That kind of experience only matters and only has value to viewers, all of you, if it is paired with honesty and with good faith. And our democracy is in danger because of the lies that people like Ronna McDaniel have pushed on this country.
OMG. And not for nothing, because I'm just gonna show you the Dora clip because you weren't here. Here it is.
To dance the kitty cat dance, we need to scratch our kitty paws, stomp our feet, and wag our kitty tails. And we got the mermaid free! Yay!
Same person.
That's a perfect comparison. Even the voice sounds the same.
Right?
Are we sure Psaki didn't do the voiceover for
was that
Dora?
another gig that she had on the way there? I mean,
Do you
to me, the
believe those
misinformation.
I'm here to serve the American people. It only matters if it's paired with honesty and good faith and not lies.
That's the thing, is cloaking all of that bad faith under protecting democracy and saying any facts that are inconvenient to you are misinformation. Her book should have been lying for the Bidens, not lessons from the White House, because she ran the same playbook when Joe was running the first time. They lied about Hunter's laptop. This is their game plan during the election season, is they have to try to make everyone, trick them again into believing that, oh, Joe Biden, he's nice Uncle Joe. He's a nice guy. He's not the callous monster who sits and looks at his watch when the soldiers who were killed because of him are being brought back to the country. I mean, that's unbelievable to do that as a president. And to send out a spokesperson, she's still his spokesperson. Now she just gets to do it on MSNBC. To send out your spokesperson and try to lie to the American people again and say that didn't happen, don't trust your lying eyes, it's disgusting.
It is disgusting.
And then when caught, to just say misinformation, that his critics, you know, and now when caught red-handed on those lies, to say, oh, this small detail of exactly what the timing was will be corrected on the no. That goes to the very heart of the matter. That depending on when the timing was, there's either a huge controversy or there's absolutely nothing. You changing the time of when he looked at that watch changes the story into a nothing, falsely. That's why this Gold Star dad was so pissed off, the timing of it in the SOT we played. That's why the 6 families are speaking in the New York Post immediately, saying this is bullshit, this is whitewashing. She knows very well this isn't some minor edit of like, oh, gee, I said 9:15 when I really meant 9:20. She completely changed the facts. And by the way, guys, as I mentioned, she was on The View, was it last week, ripping Kristi Noem on her book controversy. Watch this, last week.
I've also never worked for somebody who's lied about a foreign leader they've met with. And Alyssa made this point. This is so true. Meeting with Kim Jong-un, there are a handful of people who have ever done this. It's very knowable. I just wrote a book. You read the book 1,000 times. So many. You read it out loud. When you're doing the audiobook, you think, oh, you need a comma there. That weird word is strange. When she said, and I met with Kim Jong-un, did she think to herself, I didn't meet with Kim Jong-un?
Oh my God.
when you read the audiobook, you think about it 1,000 times. Oh. That was my takeaway. You need a comma there.
Did she read the book 1,000 times where it said the president looked at his watch only after the ceremony had ended? This was a huge story. It was a huge story. Got coverage everywhere. She knows damn well that this matters. And either she didn't understand it at the time it actually happened and didn't bother to do any fact checking before she put this lie in her book, understanding that it could anger Gold Star families, or she lied throughout. My money's on the latter. I think she's a liar. Nope. Let me tell you a story about a guy named Leo Grillo. Leo was on a road trip and came across a Doberman. This dog was severely underweight and clearly in trouble. Leo rescued the dog and named him Delta. Sadly, Delta was just one of many animals that needed help, and this inspired Leo to start Delta Rescue, the largest no-kill, care-for-life animal sanctuary in the world. They've rescued thousands of dogs, cats, and horses from the wilderness, and they provide their animals with shelter, love, safety, a home. April marks 45 years since Leo rescued Delta. Delta Rescue relies solely on contributions to stay open. If you would like caring for these animals to be part of your legacy, speak with your estate planner because there are tax benefits too. You can grow your estate while letting your love for animals live well into the future. Check out the estate planning tab on their website to learn more and speak with your advisor. We call a dog man's best friend for a reason. You can help those who need it most. Visit deltarescue.org today to learn more. That's deltarescue.org. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.